Agents of God, welcome to today's mission briefing. Our mission today is titled Change of Scenery. Today, not yesterday, not tomorrow, but today, we're called to look at the world through a different lens. The majority and the minority. Two paths that lead in opposite directions. But which one leads to the truth? See, most people, the majority, follow a set formula. There's a routine, a method, a way of doing things that seems to work for the many. And then there's the minority, the ones who don't quite fit in. They march to the beat of their own drum, and because they don't conform to the majority's ways, they're often left behind. The world has a way of making them feel like they're unimportant. But is that God's way? See, let me remind you of something Jesus said. In Luke 15:4, we read, if a man has 100 sheep and one of them gets lost, what will he do? Won't he leave the 99 others in the wilderness and go to search for the one that is lost until he finds it? Jesus didn't stick to the majority. He didn't say, well, I've got the 99, so that's good enough. No, he left them to seek out the one who didn't fit the formula, the one who was lost, overlooked, cast aside. That's the heart of God. He sees beyond the numbers, beyond the statistics, and he reaches for the individual. But what about us? How often do we stick to our man-made formulas? Because you don't wear a suit, you don't belong in this church. Because you don't wear a robe, you're not fit to preach. Because you don't sit in my pew, you don't go to church. Because you don't relate to certain people or certain leaders, you're unreachable. It sounds ridiculous when we say it out loud, but this is how we've acted for far too long. We've programmed ourselves to believe there's only one way to reach people. And if they don't follow our set ways, we push them aside. But let's remember, Jesus didn't come for the formula. He didn't conform to the world's ways. He broke the mold. He healed on the Sabbath. He spoke to the outcasts. He dined with the sinners. He did everything the formula said he shouldn't. Romans 12:2, and you've heard me say this many times, but Romans 12:2 tells us, don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. So God doesn't expect us to fit into this world's systems. He calls us to be transformed, to seek out the new ways to reach people, to be inclusive, because He's an inclusive God. It's time for a change of scenery. We need to stop forcing people to conform to our ways and start finding ways to reach them where they are. We need to be flexible, adaptable, ready to serve in any capacity that helps people know the love of Christ. The more we try to push an agenda on the minority, the more we push them away. And we're called to draw people in, not drive them out. Agents, our mission today is to break away from the majority mentality. Let's follow Jesus' example and reach out to the one, the different, the overlooked. Whether they wear a suit or not, whether they fit our idea of church or not, we are called to love, to welcome, and to bring them into the family of God. Let's step out of the formula and into the freedom of Christ's love. God is inclusive, and we, His agents, must be too. Change the scenery. See the one who's been left behind and go after them. Dismissed.